It took me years. I think the first time when I started using bleach on my face was probably when I was 15.
Okay.
And I used it till I got married
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know. I just wanted to look prettier.
Okay.
I think I was literally brainwashed. And also the place I lived in, people I grew up with, everyone did it and they normalized it. Really, I think my mindset was really messed up. And when I moved here, I fell sick with some sort of allergy. And I think those 6 months gave me realization about myself and what I really want and what I really want to be. Um, and then I started picking pieces from my inner self
Mm-hmm.
to put it back together in my own authentic self. And one of the things was my body, how, because I've also been fat shamed. Um, I've also been, because my hair is thin, so people have also called me bald, even though I'm not, but it's not an ideal Indian hair. It's different.
Okay.
So anything that's not, you know, um,
The
Indian
creator.
looking to
Mhm.
people,
Yeah.
they are going to bring you down. And I've been to the ground, and so I picked myself from ground one step at a time, one piece at a time, and
Mhm.
started learning about my own self and what I really value in this life. And
It's beautiful, Divya. Like really, because yeah, and I like that you spoke so much about the work you did on yourself, and you know, I know this is more about you, but I am a little bit curious, and I know that the audience will be curious. How did your husband like? What was his role in your journey to get to this place of self acceptance?
I think my husband is someone who he has. I think it took him time to change as well. It took both of us a lot of time to work on things together to make that change. Things were not at all okay and all rosy between us, and I'm not going to lie
Naturally,
about it.
naturally, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't because I came from India. He grew up here. There was
Okay.
a lot of difference in ideologies, in how
Hmm.
we perceived life, how we
That's an
lived
intercultural
life.
relationship right there.
You're right.
Yeah.
So even though he's Indian, but he
Hmm.
grew up here, and I
Hmm.
grew up in India, um, a lot of not I'm not saying adjustments, but I think we changed ourselves.
Hmm.
When people say adjustment, I think where you are, trying to sacrifice something is not something that I would like for myself or even my husband.
Hmm.
I don't think so. People should sacrifice in a healthy relationship, but work together. I think
Yes.
he's very vocal about needs. So
Mhm.
he himself had to teach himself how I perceive myself and how I am as a person, how I want to I want to feel free by being in a relationship. And
Yes.
that's how he's created this change about himself first and
Mhm.
then in this relationship. So
So
after a lot of struggles, we
yeah.
you know we've come to a point where we are comfortable with each other about how we think about the world, and most of the time we are on the same page. He is a feminist. I would say he would not call himself that, but I
Right.
think the way he
The way he
thinks,
thinks.
yeah,
All right.
yes,
Nice. I mean, being married to you, I can imagine like he has to, just the sense that I've gotten from you is that he has to be on board, okay? Because this is who you are.
yes, exactly. And I think I don't have any bandwidth to change for someone else anymore.
Good for you. That's something that I think a lot of people, when they think of Indian born women, they, stereotype. I mean, people that's not from India stereotype like you're going to be this old school, that's language we use. You're going to have this antiquated view on how you live your life and gender
An
roles.
ideal wife.
Yes, that whole thing about like, oh, she's from the native land. She's going to be everything that comforts the patriarchy, So
Yeah.
it's
And
really
that's that you're right.
Mhm.
That's the expectation.
That's the
They want an ideal daughter-in-law. They want an ideal wife and ideal, mother-in-law, everything else.
Mhm.
But they don't really want to invest in her time, in what she does, how she is as a person.
Who you are,
So
deep down.
absolutely, I completely understand, and I agree 100%. This is something that I'm still trying to talk about and change, because even though I come from India, but my mother
Mhm.
is always going to support my sister-in-law, my brother's wife.
Okay.
And well, my brother passed away last year because of COVID in
Oh, I'm
India.
sorry. Okay.
Yeah, but even if he was alive, I don't think so. My mother would ever support my brother if he's wrong. She would always support my sister-in-law. And I think that's where I get it from. That's where,
Awesome. Okay.
yeah, I think women in my family is more women oriented than men oriented. We are, we're very strong. We always have each other's back. And at the end of the day, we know how much of a struggle each of us has gone through, and that's why we are out there for each other. Um and here as well, in my in-laws family, women are more authoritative,
Mhm.
and it shows in our work, in our professional jobs, and overall as a family. Women are the decision makers here. So I think
Okay.
having the best of both worlds from India and here in my family here um, is definitely giving me more motivation to be more authoritative in a way that could help each other and as a family.
Nice. And that sounds very similar to the Black experience.
Hmm.
Women have been put in the role of being the breadwinners or the matriarch of the family. And yeah, I came from a very woman oriented family as well. I mean, there's men in the family for sure, but we are the ones that make the decisions, that
Hmm.
follow through with things. And that seems to be something I've noticed a lot. With certain pockets of every race, there's that group of strong women that I
Hmm.
don't think they get enough attention. Somehow,
Exactly.
Black women have been the poster for strong women. But
Yes.
there's plenty of strong women in other communities. Why don't they get the same shine, or why don't people automatically think of them? I don't know, but thank you for sharing that, because yeah, I know lots of women like you from afar, but it's
Yeah.
really nice to hear that, especially being that you were born and raised in India. And
Hmm.
that's change that, I'm sure that would change the mindset of people that's watching this, like, wow. Because when I think of, because you say that you're close by New Delhi,
Hmm.
so metropolitan.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, some people might say is westernized now, but I think it's just like you said, the millennials are really changing things, and I see that across in other parts of Asia too.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
women are like standing up and saying what they want, and it's
Hmm.
changing. It's changing a lot
Yeah,
worldwide.
absolutely.
I've
And
seen
I
that.
love that. I
Me
love that.
too. Me too. So it's nice when you said that your husband is feminist, but he doesn't realize it, because it's the way that men are evolving and they're thinking about what
Hmm.
is a woman.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm just grateful. Just grateful.
Yeah, me too.
So I
Definitely.
wanted to move on to the part of like your experience having your platform. I remember when we talked to just, to build up to this interview, you talked about it wasn't always positive, as far
Hmm.
as cyberbullying, you getting praise from some people in your community, but then others being really negative and nasty towards you. Can you speak a
Hmm.
little bit on that, on what that's been like?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a part of the process, I would call it. When we started the page back in 2019, it was about, we started with colorism because that's
Okay.
a deep rooted problem which
Yeah.
still continues to rise. And then came religion, communities, and then came the clashes. And I think um, the way I wanted to start the conversations, because there will be clash of ideas. I always knew it, but
Yeah.
there were extremes, and I think I also made mistakes in
Hmm.
judging as well, because when you're sitting on this platform where you have so many different communities to consider, and also be that middle person where you have to have this radical thought about and very critical thoughts about, okay, this person is going through that, but then this person is going through worse, but then how am I going to validate both the voices? How am I going to help with thousands of voices?
Hmm.
And somewhere there are cracks that are being, created, and you just fall through the cracks. And sometimes it, like I said, the clashes between the conversation go negative. And that's never the goal for me, but it happens. We're all human. Sometimes we don't realize how we feel, and I am absolutely okay with being with people being negative about it. I think it's healthy. You can't always be positive. You have to be
It's
negative.
true.
You have to bring out that other side of the conversation. But what I'm not okay with is name calling or trolling
Yeah.
someone. And I'm nice, but I'm not that nice. I grew up in a very, I grew up in
Yes,
a very fierce environment where,
that's
and
right.
also, I think that was one of my mechanism to save myself since childhood,
Hmm. The
from the
defensive.
men.
Yeah.
Yeah, just from the predators, from the men, from just those gays. I learned to have that, that resilience and fighting spirit, that if someone has to come at me, I'm going to come at you. there
Yeah.
is no there is no denial in that.
So
But
many similarities with what you just said, Demi. Like, really, that's what happens here. Like protecting yourself
yeah,
because people will try to take advantage. And yeah, living in a world where it's a patriarchy, male dominated, women have been put in that position where it's like your body, it almost feels
mhm,
like it's not your own. But yeah, please
exactly.
continue. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a part of the trauma that I am still
Mhm.
trying to work on. I still get triggered by personal comments that I get from, South Asian page, where people think that I should know it all, but I don't. And I don't expect to know it all because it's too much to take, too
Yeah.
much to learn.
He's
So
one
I'm going to
person.
learn with my own pace. I'm going to
Hmm.
learn just like you are.
Hmm.
So getting those threats, getting those, hateful comments, I usually just leave them on, because if you are so open about your hate, then I'm open about keeping it so that others can read it and
Ah.
judge it by themselves. I'm not judging you. Everyone else will.
Mm.
So I see where you're
Yeah.
coming from. So
Hmm.
let's see the other person where they are coming from. There are some, pages who are just people. I would say not the pages, but people um, who are who just want to hate on you. They just hate
Yes.
you. There is no reason.
They're just
They
like,
hate
this is what
you.
I came on today. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing
And
good. Nothing good at all. Hmm.
yeah. And those are the people I think I would just delete and block right away without any question, without giving any benefit of the doubt, because I
Yes.
don't think so they have any right to go personal at anyone.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I think I'm very open to critical information and knowledge and having those conversations. Like I said, I made mistakes. I think about them and I'm like, I wish I handled it in a different way or differently. But I think it's again, I'm no expert. I'm not a social media person, but I learned while I worked on the page. I learned from the conversation, and these are the people who make this page. So
You're the face, right? Because your team, they don't. No one sees them. Is that the case?
I they chose
Uh-huh.
for no one to see them, and I also chose myself. But honestly, I'm not worried about that. I
Yeah,
think
I just brought that up to say like you're taking on even more responsibility with being the face and how people
mhm,
are gonna just hate on you just to hate, and the people that's behind it that's hating on you, they don't even have their picture on their
mhm,
pages. So
mhm.
the cowardliness of it all is just yeah.
Yeah, they don't have any photos or any followers, or they
Yeah.
just want to take this hate out. And I do ask them,
Gaslight you.
I ask them, like, you have this hate, but what is the reason why you have this?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, that's a
do
good.
you have an opinion? Tell me
Mhm.
that. I can tackle your hate. And they don't have an opinion. They would just call me a, fucking leech. But why am I a leech? Tell me that. No, they don't want to. They've judged me, calling me a person from diaspora, and I'm not. I am Indian. I am Desi. I'm from India. I have gone through struggles amongst other people. I have similar stories. And that's why this page is here. So
Mhm.
if you don't
So
have anything better to say, then yeah, move on.
right. So is that like a thing? Because you mentioned a person from the diaspora. So if you're not from the, let's say, the motherland, and if you're from some other part of the
Hmm.
world where, yeah, that's an insult.
That's an insult because
Oh,
like I told you in the beginning, people think in the East they think that West is not aware of the problems, and
okay.
that's why they always call people out in the diaspora, even though people want to learn,
Yeah.
and the only way is to bridge that gap, and that's
Mhm.
what I'm trying to do. But that's why people in the East or back home, they are hating for people in the West to be learning this much of content, which
Ah,
wasn't available on the internet before.
interesting. So fascinating because I see this problem also with African Americans and Africans,
Mm-hmm.
where it's this divide, like we chose to leave, like
Mm-hmm.
oh you can't speak the language, oh you're lost, or you have no culture. Like what do you mean? Like
Yeah.
American culture is our culture. We
Mm-hmm.
created this. And so to hear like that same thing happens with those that are Indian born and then the diaspora, the Indian diaspora, it's just like sometimes it feels like people are looking for a division when you should
Mm-hmm.
look the other way. But you know it, uh, that's humanity. That's just
Yeah.
humanity. Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, and amongst all that, the page continues to grow. We continue to share
Good.
stories. We continue
Yeah.
to share people who are with small businesses, people who are doing so much better for themselves, where they weren't able
Beautiful.
to. And so that, in between all that storm and darkness, there is a lot of hope amongst each other. There's a
Awesome.
lot of love and support amongst each other. So I
Yeah.
think that's why I feel lucky to be able to continue this conversation and, help, at least not change someone. I don't think so social media can change anyone, but then people can start thinking about things and
Yes.
they can bring their own change as per how
Because you're
they
planting the
understand
seed.
themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Which
that's
goes
that's
to
how I feel.
Yeah, which goes into my part about community impact. you spoke a lot on that already, as far as like what you're doing. You're planting the seeds, you're helping businesses to grow, you're getting people exposure, even like you're bridging the diaspora with the motherland. So yeah, you've been very impactful, even to me, like just seeing it exist. And seeing, especially when all the stuff with George Floyd, and all of a sudden people were like, "Oh yeah, Black Lives Matter. That is a great hashtag, and we should do stuff around it." To see what you were posting was really nice. It helped. It made me feel respected and seen.
I'm the angriest of the optimists. This shit fishier than a lobster dish. I'm going ham, don't see what the other option is. Look, fuck your policy and your politics.
And empathize, because I feel a lot of times other cultures, even people from Africa, it almost feels like no one sees what's happening to African Americans. No one cares, because they'll make up the excuse like, well, they didn't take advantage of this and that. Just totally forgetting the history of how we got here, what happened, redlining. So yeah, I just really felt great to see your platform and see like, oh my God, yeah, someone gets it. She's look at what she's putting down. I wanted to meet you because at first I didn't see the face of who was behind it. So that's why I wanted to celebrate who you are here. To say thank you, because it sometimes it feels very isolating.
It definitely is.
So what are you hoping as you move into like this next stage of your platform? What are you hoping to achieve when it comes to community impact and maybe collaborating with Radically Blending and other organizations like Malayalas for Social Justice? That's another great one you should look into.
I will.
What are you hoping to achieve in this next stage?
I think my ultimate goal is to provide some sort of funding to organizations that I believe in, my friends believe in all around South Asia. So, because money is not something that I'm looking after for personally. But I think the more the merrier. And that's why, of course, I want to start a website, which I've been very lazy about because of my 9 to 5 job. But apart from that, I want to start small meetups. And since you and I are in Chicago, we can make it happen. I definitely have some circle of people who are very radical in their thought process, and I think
you speak in my language.
Yeah, of course, I'm learning.
Yes.
So I think bringing those voices together and have a very face-to-face conversation in a very small circle, even if we're sitting in a park somewhere and just have that conversation about it, I think it will open doors and hearts for everyone to learn from each other and also carry this conversation forward and probably do it every month. Try to do that every month, once a month, just meet outside and, just meet people, listen to their stories and how it impacts us. I think it's a great way to bring in that change, at least, from 10 people to 10, 20 to 50. So changing 50 people, 100, and then they change others. So it's a chain reaction, right? So that's how I want to do. And again, I will keep supporting small businesses, anyone who wants to, who has a voice but doesn't know how to share it with the world. My page is here. I am there for the help, and just to be able to learn and grow. And honestly, it's that's the plan for now. But definitely bigger plans to take it to another level. Whenever I visit India, I want to meet more people. I want to meet more change makers, even in sustainable industry, and how they are bringing that change. So just supporting South Asian and Black businesses around and minority businesses so that they can grow. I'm literally done with white women selling tea, and that's not going to happen for me.
Boy, do I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I think it's just about it's going to be all about community.
Beautiful. Okay, so just to close out, do you have any words of wisdom that you would like to share for with the viewers, or even from what you have posted on your platform? What are the words of wisdom in regards to building solidarity with other people of color?
Hmm. Of
That way,
course,
yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of uh, I don't know about how I feel about the word colonization,
Mm,
but it's an important part of our history. And
yeah.
my words of wisdom would be just learn, 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 and reflect.
Oh,
Sit
yeah.
with yourself
Mhm,
and assess yourself, how your thoughts are changing you and how
mhm,
it could change you for the better. Just have your own conversation with yourself, and if you can live with that, I think that's amazing.
mm.
I do that with myself. I do that when I see something that affects me on a personal level, even a piece of
Yes.
content. I
Same.
think about it. I think
Yeah.
about it unless it becomes a part of me.
Hmm.
So I think for every one of us is to be able to be open enough to learn and accept and just be an ally. An ally, it means you learn, you listen. That's it. Give the platform to the people who need that voice, who
Yeah.
need that platform, and you take a back seat
Hmm.
and just let them speak,
Yes.
and
Oof.
keep your views to yourself if it's not adding to the conversation. That's how I feel. That's how I do. That's
Oh
how I
my
am.
God. Yes. Okay, those are some gems. Those are really good. But thank you for this conversation. Thank you for your words of wisdom, your time. I really, really enjoyed it.
Already spoke it. I already told my husband, me and Keisha are
Yes.
gonna meet. We're gonna do this meetups,
Mhm.
we're meeting today. So it's
Yes.
happening. It's going to happen.
Oh, it's gonna happen. Yes, we text each other, so it's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
absolutely. It's going to
All right.
happen.
Well, thank you so much, and I hope that
Thank
you all
you.
enjoyed this conversation. Please tell them where they can find you again. To tell them your
Absolutely.
platforms.
Okay, so you can find me on South Asian Nation. DM me if you need anything, pretty much anything, honestly. I am always available.
All right. And on that note, thank you. You can also check out the Radically Blending platforms. This was a great conversation. Please let us know what you thought about this. All right. Enjoy your evening. Hold on. All right.
Thank you
Bye.
for watching. Please subscribe and leave a like.